SailGP Season 4 Championship will be decided today. $2 million is up for grabs. New Zealand and Australia have booked their place in the grand final. Just one spot remains.
The battle royale in France against Spain. Delapierre loves to put the hammer down.
You've got to be kidding me.
Oh no!
The race is on and anything can happen. Welcome to SailGP.
Waves crash underneath, sound like thunder speaking. Flying carbon machines, driven by the world's best, yes. Powered by nature, raw passion, all action. When it takes, racing on water, racing with impact. Give it all, everything, give it all, everything. We are racing, when it takes, we are SailGP.
After embarking on a world tour that began last June, Season 4 sails into the city by the bay to have one final go. In the shadows of the iconic Golden Gate Bridge, the time has come. Welcome to SailGP Season 4 Grand Final, San Francisco. Championship Sunday has arrived for Event 13, and today a victor will be crowned. And along with that title, a financial prize for the winning team of $2 million. The world's best sailors will attempt to harness the power of Mother Nature one more time this season and end what has been an epic year. With two-time Olympian Stevie Morrison and former world champion Emily Nagel, I'm Todd Harris. The 12 prior events have provided some heart-pounding action in some of the most iconic venues. Before we go racing today, let's bring you up to speed on what has taken place in Season 4 thus far.
It's been an incredible season. 12 epic venues across 4 continents. As we approach the $2 million showdown, it's clear that the performance gap has narrowed. There have been 5 different event winners. And with this, the triple champions Australia have faced their stiffest competition yet. Tom Slingsby went without a victory for 8 events until their hometown win in Sydney, only to suffer the biggest unforced crash in SailGP history at the very next event in Christchurch.
Major blow for Tom Slingsby. They receive 8 points docked from the season championship.
Australia have been plagued with technical problems in the second half of the season. But they always managed to push through and grind out a result and impressively sit in second overall. New Zealand's Black Foils recovered from their mast break to win more events than any other team and have already booked their spot in the grand final. They have the pace and have shown that they're capable of fighting back from tough positions.
Look at New Zealand, they were in 4th and now they're in 1st.
Spain have enjoyed a serious performance boost this season with driver Diego firmly up to speed in the F50. They've made the top 3 on 4 occasions and taken 2 events in wildly different conditions to put them 3rd in the standings. In 4th place overall is France. They'll be chasing down Spain for a spot in the grand final. They've had a consistent year but have only made the 3-way shootout on 2 occasions. Canada, Rockwool Denmark and Emirates GBR have an outside chance of making the prize money. It's going to be a fascinating end to the season.
So that's how the league stands coming into this grand final weekend. The real drama to play out is what team will claim that final spot, as New Zealand's already secured their place and the Aussies are near lock to make it. The real drama comes from positions 3 and 4. That's where Spain and France are separated by just 5 points. And after some amazing starts during the first day of racing in the Bay, the French have put themselves in position to overtake Spain. Let's look back at the first day of racing in San Francisco.
The penultimate day of Season 4 saw France launch out of the firing blocks with their campaign to knock out Spain and make the grand final.
If they could come out and get a win in the first race, what's that going to do pressure-wise to the Spanish crew? What a start for the French, absolutely perfect.
With the high wind wing and foil configuration, France were a force to be reckoned with.
It's go, clear start, superb work. France again have found a way through.
New Zealand, who are guaranteed their spot in the grand final, showed their vulnerability in the strong winds.
And that's really costly. Look, they're back to 5th.
And Australia proved why they are a contender to fight for the title once again.
It is Australia that wins race number 2.
But behind, Canada gifted vital places to Spain.
Oh no!
France threaded the needle and tried to force a penalty on Spain in race 3.
Whoa, it's so tight. Spain have got to stay clear there. USA, great start. Denmark, great start. But France again on the inside. Can they accelerate fast enough to get to Mark 1 in the lead?
Spain managed to work their way back into the fleet after another poor start.
Okay, so big opportunity for the Spanish.
And it is absolutely neck and neck. Both France and Spain have the exact same average speed of 62.6 kilometers an hour.
Denmark sailed away for the victory.
And Spain comes back with a 5th. Right now, France is beating the punch.
We need to make up a couple of positions on them, so yeah, we need to go full on. There is no holding back today for us, and we go for everything.
It's always good to feel the pressure. I used to say that if there is no pressure, it means you are not on the right spot. You just need to finish the job today.
So after one day of racing in San Francisco, it is France in the lead with 26 points. Then Emirates, Great Britain, and Denmark the top 3. New Zealand sits on 21 points in 4th, Australia 5th with 19, and then the Spanish on just 14 points after a very disappointing day 1 reside in 6th place, which is below where they need to be to secure a spot in the grand final. So unless they move up another position after the next 2 fleet races, they are out. Remember, it's 10 points for a race win. That means there are 20 points still available. Canada's 8-point penalty from yesterday was a real benefit to the Spanish. Canada, Germany, Switzerland, the US bring up the bottom 4. As it stands right now after 3 fleet races, it is New Zealand, Australia, and France the top 3, with Spain tied on points for 3rd. But on the outside looking in by way of the tiebreaker, the Spanish will have 2 more chances to improve their event position with the next 2 fleet races. But with the way the French sailed on day number 1, the pressure is really on Spain's Diego Botín and his crew. Right now, let's take a look at today's course map with Stevie Morrison.
The San Francisco racetrack is never short of drama. Be behind the line, but foiling fast as the clock hits 0 to get the best start. It's then a sprint to Mark 1. At the gates, the boat can turn left or right. These F50s have to sail at an angle to the wind to generate speed. This means the team will sail different paths, trying to find the fastest times between gates. The wind will change in strength and direction. Find more wind and you'll go faster, a better angle and you'll sail less distance. The longer legs with the wind shifting mean there are a lot of opportunities to gain or lose, all the way to the finish in front of the fans. San Francisco has a lot of current indicated in blue, which gives us a unique feature to the course. Judging your route into the gates is harder. This course is the ultimate challenge for the crews.
So it is an all systems go mode for all 10 of the international teams, all out there with something to prove whether or not they are in a position to make it in to the grand final. We go down on the water now. 4th member of our broadcast team is Olympic silver medalist Lisa Darmanin.
San Francisco is delivering for our final day of racing this season. Similar winds, if not windier than yesterday. We're seeing 30 to 40 kilometres per hour coming straight from that Golden Gate Bridge. Interestingly, it's a lot wavier on the course today, so making it quite hard for the flight controllers, and it's a lot choppier at the bottom of the course near Alcatraz, so watch out for some wobbly manoeuvres down there. Big story of the day is we've got 24-metre wings, so configuration change and plenty of power to play with today. We thought it was going to be lighter, but it's not. It's absolutely pumping out here. They've still got the high-speed boards, though, so they can absolutely send it to Mark 1. It is going to be absolutely epic for this final day of racing.
All right, thank you very much, Lisa. So, Emily, if you're out on board one of those beautiful F50s right now and you got that information from Lisa Darmanin, what are you thinking?
Well, I think it's going to be really interesting to see how this plays out between Spain and France. As we saw yesterday with the little wings, the French are so strong. But from previous racing, what we've seen is the Spanish do actually perform very well in this configuration. They've sailed 11 times this season in this configuration, the 24-meter wing and high-speed boards. And out of those 11 races, Spain have beaten France in 8 of them. So we could have a very tight battle on our hands.
And right out of the gate, it is France and Spain getting together for just a little bit of a hello, how do you do? 1 minute to go before the start of race number 4. We'll have one more race after this. It'll be fleet race number 5, and then only the top teams on the season overall standings will race off for $2 million. So Stevie Morrison, what's your flavor? Where would you want to be right now?
Well, the French have been very aggressive into the start there already with the Spanish, but I wonder if they've made it a little bit too difficult for themselves. Are they going to be able to get back into this mix-up in time? They sailed so well yesterday, but yeah, tangling themselves up with the Spanish. Certainly not the Spanish out of routine, but it's all about the timing. Back to the line now. New Zealand, top of our screen. They've got some space. Denmark and Great Britain are well positioned here. Just 16 seconds to go, and we still can't see the French or the Spanish on the screen just yet. Pole position predictor puts it on Slingsby's Australian boats, but can he roll around the top of the Americans? Here he comes on board Australia. It's going to be New Zealand at the top of the line at full pace. How's your timing, Peter Burling? Oh, he got a bit early there. It's a perfect start from Australia. Canada are going to be fast on the inside, and there's no sign of France or Spain.
As they approach mark number 1 of race number 4 here on Championship Sunday. On the inside, it's Phil Robertson and the Canadians. On the outside is Tom Slingsby and the 3-time champions Aussies.
Oh, Todd, look at the right-hand side of our screen. That's the French absolutely out the back of the pack, and there in front, the Spanish are off the foils. Oh, my word, the Spanish are miles behind here as Canada lead away at mark 1, chased down by Australia and New Zealand. But the story's at the back of the pack here. Can the French work their way back through the fleet?
As the fleet sails away with France in 9th, the big winners on day number 1, still no sight of Spain.
Now, really interesting here, because the French drop back to 9th place, in order to take out the Spanish, that actually flip-flops their season position.
So despite the fact, Emily, that Spain is in dead last and France is in 9th, Spain would go into the grand final.
Exactly, so it's really important here for the French to climb up through the fleet and gain a few more positions.
It's not going to be easy. The French in 9th place. Stevie, I gotta wonder what happened with Diego Botín, knowing that that might have been one of the most important starts of the whole season for them.
Well, I'd say, yeah, I think we could get very confused with all of the logistics of that today. We've got this side of our screen here. That will tell us as a fact who's going to get through to the final. So we don't want to overcomplicate things. Fundamentally, we've got a 5-race event that we're in now. I'm surprised the French were that aggressive because I feel it's more important for them to try and stay first than worry about putting the Spanish back a little bit. But as we get to gate 2, Canada, what a result for Phil Robertson leading the fleet round, and the Australian boat's ahead of the Kiwi boat again. We've got a grand final coming up soon. Great Britain on the inside, they got the right way. Canada, a little bit loose there on the left turn, but they've got it under control again. That's the bottom end of the course, the downwind end. That's where Lisa said it was a bit choppier, a bit rougher, harder to control the boats.
And from the wind data as well, we've seen it's actually gustier down there as well. Already, since the boats have been out, we've seen gusts as high as 40 kilometers an hour. So during these roundups...
Germany putting it!
Okay, there we go.
They got it back.
It is a lot of power hitting that wing, and they've got to depower quickly.
Look how well that's gone for the French, though. There, look at that. They stayed on the foils, executed the manoeuvre well, and I think as soon as you are overpowered like this, race the course, race your boat efficiently, and try and be smooth, because you're just going to gain easy meters.
France has just gone from 9th into 6th place. You look to the left-hand side, that means that France would be in the grand final, and Spain now has moved up into 9th place as they have overtaken the Germans. Meanwhile, it's Australia now in 1st place as they have gone past Canada.
Yeah, tight course here, and it's interesting as we see out of that bottom of the course there, heading towards the San Francisco shoreline, has been a gain on that one for Australia. Big gain versus Canada, although Canada did make a slight mistake with the rounding. Mistakes matter today, Todd. You've got to sail the boat smoothly.
And is this a case of seeing Tom Slingsby and his crew coming together at the right time and getting the momentum as they'll go into the grand final?
So as Stevie mentioned, yesterday we had more pressure in along the shoreline, and that's what we're seeing here. 37 kilometers an hour for the French team, less for the Spanish. Not good news for them.
Let's find out about the conditions right now. Lisa Darmanin, since we talked to you about, what, 5-10 minutes ago, have the conditions changed at all? And where's the sweet spot on this massive San Francisco course?
The wind is a little bit more left than we saw yesterday, which means this San Francisco shoreline, it's funneling down here, the wind is accelerating, and it's also flatter water over this side. So I think that's why this side is paying, but we did see a lot of current. So there's this big tide coming from the Golden Gate Bridge down the course, pushing the sailors down the course. So I think that's another reason why they're all coming to the shoreline. But I mean, this racing is still pretty gusty out here, opportunities, but Australia's in control of this race.
Yeah, Australia way out in front. Their lead over 100 meters over Canada, who's moved back into second place. Phil Robertson, after a little bit of a messy rounding, has righted the ship, and third place now belongs to Giles Scott and Emirates GBR, with the Danes sitting in fourth.
We can see there the blue marks on the screen here. That's indicating the current, so it's moving down the course. They're effectively trying to sail up the treadmill at the moment. It's a little bit slower going upwind. Of course, it's going to take them away down the course quicker, but Australia are in a great position. France are moving through the fleet, but it's still such a tight battle in there that any slight error, any slight misjudgment in your line-up into this gate, New Zealand have a tricky decision to make now. Can they get ahead of those boats they were close to in Australia? Well, when you're out in front, they make it look pretty smooth.
Pete Burling turns right in front of Canada.
Oh, yeah, it's going to get tight for them.
3 wide.
Oh, and it's so tight. Canada have got to keep clear, but New Zealand are going to be really slow into this mark. Surprised he didn't choose to go behind there, to be perfectly honest. He's going to lose a lot of places on that. And France could be third after this rounding. Unbelievable from Delapierre. Perfect choice there. Look how slow, top of our screen, Denmark and New Zealand are. And the French slingshot round. It's playing out perfectly for the French at the moment.
And unfortunately for Spanish, it's a very tight ley line here to make that top gate. So sailing quite slow, 47k an hour, trying to make the mark.
So while Spain was mired back in 10th place, it wasn't that big of an issue because France was right in front of them 9th. But the French have now moved up into 6th place, make that 4th place, as Quentin Delapierre and team had a tremendous day yesterday, and now they're picking up right where they left off. Stevie, that is going to be massive if they stay in the top 5.
Well, and the way they turned to that last mark, when they come back and meet the other boats, they'll have the right of way. Here they go. This is the pack here. This could be the French moving all the way up to just behind Denmark, or even ahead of Denmark. They look like they'll be ahead of Denmark to me. 3rd place in a moment for the French, because all those boats coming away from the right of our screen to the left of our screen have got to keep clear. Delapierre's picking the course perfectly so far.
Here's the question now. Is France in the position they're in right now, Stevie? Do they have to make another maneuver before they next gate?
Yeah, they do, Todd. You can see left-hand side of the screen, those circles, they're just not quite aiming down at that. So unless they get a shift in the wind, which will change their angle, and at the moment, the dice seem to be rolling in the favour of the French, don't they? So maybe anything's possible. But yeah, I think what I like about what the French are doing, they're keeping themselves in space. If you look at New Zealand, Denmark, Great Britain, they were all tight together. You're normally slowing yourselves up with that, whereas France are in space, and they've just got that pedal to the metal.
They are going to have to go for a left turn here, which, as we saw in the previous upwind, wasn't the favoured. So it's whether they take an extra manoeuvre to go right, and there they go for it. Sensible.
Oh, but it's going to be a tricky manoeuvre. That big wing, you can't get slow with it. If you get slow, the load goes through the roof. They're going to lose a lot of distance here, but they'll probably still be in 3rd. But in the back of the pack there, look how tight it is. There's plenty of boats for the Spanish to potentially get past here. Everyone's slow again at the bottom.
Absolute sig alert at the bottom of the course, and here comes Spain. They're going to pick up some positions as the Americans split and go the other way. For some reason, Spain decides to join the fray. We've got 5, 6 boats on that side, all just packed in tightly.
I think it's just a really good lesson so far at the bottom of the course here. Anyone that's been and done it.
French are
off the foils, and the Spanish are within 50 metres of them now. France are struggling to get things under control, and Spain are going to get a lovely gap as they head out towards that boundary. But I think what a great lesson there. Do the basics well. Everyone made a mistake at that bottom mark. All you've got to do is turn the boat up into the wind. Not the hardest thing they'll do all day, but it can cost you a lot of metres if you don't give it the respect it deserves.
Meanwhile, Australia is gone. They have checked out completely from this race. They have pretty much locked up their spot in the grand final, as has New Zealand, who came in with their position already secured. The battle is on for one final spot in the final race of today. That is the grand final for $2 million. New Zealand's in. Australia is pretty much in. It'll either be France or Spain that will join them.
Yeah, right now the French are still ahead of the Spanish, but the French are right in that group, and it's going to get tricky for them. They will have the right of way when they pull this next manoeuvre off. Spain have got to watch out and keep clear, because don't be at all surprised if Delapierre's aggressive in his manoeuvring at the Spanish now.
Really close, stuck behind the Kiwi team there.
Spain's got to keep clear, the Spanish set up. Okay, so the French now back in control, but they've lost a lot of points relative to the Spanish here, which could be costly. But more important for them is how can they finish in this event? They need to get past the Danish. I'd say that could be absolutely crucial, and it's a boat speed race back towards the shore.
If they were to finish in these current positions, France would stay on top of the leaderboard and Spain would be in 7th place, which wouldn't be enough to put them into the season final. But the point gap means they could still make it in the next race.
But the win in race number 4 will go the way of the Australians, and now they have locked up their spot in the grand final. The 3-time reigning and defending champions win the first race on Sunday, so they get the 10 points. And coming in 2nd place will be Canada. Phil Roberts and his crew doing a masterful job.
Oh, it's so tight in the pack though, Todd. New Zealand have turned directly in front of the French. Spain, they were in a tussle with the British. This is a brilliant race here. Spain have done their last manoeuvre towards this final turning mark. France will have one more manoeuvre to do, and they're in behind the New Zealand crew. It's going to be really tight coming in here. France have got to nail this manoeuvre. Can they get inside that circle? I don't think they can. They've got to keep clear.
Too close.
It's going to be a crash. Oh, no.
We got a collision.
It could be a capsize. Oh, they've managed to invert the wing. They're going to be okay, but there probably was damage there, and I don't know if they were in that yellow circle. Oh, they only have the right of way if they're inside the circle. But look, here come the Spanish. Diego Boutini, he's going to be aggressive here. France must keep clear. Oh,
Spain need to get these points. They need to just cross the line.
You can hear the tension out there. I think it's better for them to make the French do badly, personally. I kind of think you want to get the French down. There's some fever
I think the French are doing that themselves.
Yeah. Well, if you want to know what it means to the sailors out there, I think we're getting a little bit of an insight to it. It's been a pretty good sporting day for the Spanish so far today.
Oh, my word.
And that was pretty good comeback there.
In the final 30 seconds, France goes literally from into the grand final to making contact.
Here we go, we're on board the French. Now they've got to keep clear, and Delapierre, I don't know what happened with the communication, but they just got way too close there with the Danish. It was as if there was a miscommunication. Port tack France, yeah, they fouled starboard tack Denmark. Basics, really, had they been 5 meters to the left, they would have had the right of way in there, but they got it wrong. Look, you see the rudder, they've snapped the bottom off their rudder. Look, back of screen there.
They won't even be able to make the next race.
They're going to be out of the race, that's it.
Such a good save by the wing trimmer, though, getting to that invert button.
Look at this.
Oh. Doesn't really need words, does it there, if you're a French fan? Absolute disaster, really.
On the final leg of the first race on Sunday, with France in a fight for their life, they make contact with the Danes. So the debrief now starts, and the big question is, can France sail? And Stevie and Emily, from your perspective, it does not look like it.
No, now the race really kicked off with quite a dramatic bit of team racing by the Spanish and the French teams that took them out of the picture. But it was the Aussies that set the scene, hitting the line with absolute perfection. The Kiwis were a touch early. They had to avoid the line to stop from being over. But wow, that first leg.
Well, it's pretty impressive. The French and the Spanish were out the back, of course, and of course from here it turned into a battle royale. Halfway through the race, we are here at the gate number 3, and the French, well, it looked like they were absolutely playing this out, reading it like Neo from the Matrix as he went round the course there, with the Spanish still out the back. But it's all about the detail in these boats. This turn up here, they just didn't execute it as well as they could. They did a late manoeuvre, and from then on, they just were rattled. The tempo had obviously got up in the boat, and at the final turning mark, he needed to be inside that yellow circle to be able to turn in there, and the Danish have to keep clear. It broke the rudder off, could well mean a serious problem in making the next race for that French crew.
What a race ending on the final leg as they were set to make a left-hand turn to the finish line. France decided to roll the dice, and Stevie, to your point, I don't know if communication was missing, but Quentin Delapierre just did not see the Danes.
Well, he probably would have hoped he was inside that circle, in which case then he would have been able to sail his proper course. He's entitled to turn in there. But yeah, there was 3 of them on that side of the boat, so it wasn't like there was no one there to see. So something's clearly gone a little awry.
So let's take a look at the standings after 4 events. As we saw Australia get the win, they get 2 victories out of the 4 races so far. But the big point right now is France. They had a 1-3-3 yesterday. They get a 9th, and they drop down to 28 points in 5th place. And we still don't know how bad the damage is. So Spain salvages that with a 6th place. So still, they have not placed in the top 5, above top 5 in the 4 races so far. They'll have one more opportunity, the final fleet race of season 4. So as we take a look at the projected season 4 championship, it means that Spain would move clear of France. Oh, and how they pulled that off, I do not know. Spain looking to try to pull off the rare triple play today with Carlos Alcaraz winning Wimbledon, Spain winning the Euros, and now Diego Botín, the Spanish Stevie, trying to claim the title in season 4 of SailGP.
Well, so far, Todd, there's plenty of golf left in this hole, that is for sure.
So there is the fleet. They've all separated. They will go through a little bit of a debrief situation. I guess now, Emily, how quickly can they possibly repair that boat?
It is a big job. There are spare rudders, but they are quite a long way away. I don't think they've got any spares out on the water, so it is quite the mission to change.
Well, the best technical crews in the world now will go to work on these flying F-50 catamarans. It's a lot of carbon fiber, and hopefully we will get a word on their situation. And if the French can fight another day in the 5th and final fleet race here in San Francisco. So we now go down on the water here in San Francisco, day 2 of SailGP Season 4. Diego Botín, what a race. Diego, take us back to the start. What happened to you guys, and what was the feeling on board when you guys were in dead last on that first leg?
Yeah, well, we tried to slow down the French, and yeah, we succeeded, but not perfectly, obviously, because we slowed them down even more, and then, yeah, we came back quite nicely after that.
Diego, we've heard some fairly high tension on a lot of boats out there today. Is this the most highly pressured day in SailGP you've experienced so far?
Yeah, I mean, I guess so, no? With the conditions we're having and, yeah, the situation, what is in play, must be the highest pressure event, for sure, of the season.
Well, it's been a very good day for Spanish sports so far, so thank you very much for your time and hope you have another good race.
Well, SailGP is always looking to the future, not only in ways to improve sustainability and being more eco-friendly, but identifying future sailing talent. The Inspire program was launched to identify young adults and give them a chance to explore career opportunities within the league and see if being a part of SailGP is something that they would like to be a part of. After that last race, why would you not want to be a part of SailGP?
SailGP exists to make our sport better and use it as a platform for a better planet. Inspire Learning lets young people engage with the science of sailing in a dynamic and engaging way. Inspire Careers offers students and young professionals a work experience opportunity within SailGP. Inspire Racing is the ultimate foiling youth program for the next generation of talent, where we have the best local young sailors compete alongside the F-50s, as well as gain behind-the-scenes access, meet the athletes, and much more. Inspire is just another part of our belief that sailing can be a force for good, powered by nature and driven by purpose.
Well, here in San Francisco, 18 Inspire athletes from all over the world battled it out in epic conditions across 3 days. And every one of these sailors had to qualify for this final series.
Denmark's Magnus Overbeck qualified in the last event in New York and was the most consistent sailor on the water. He won the men's category by a convincing 12 points. He's the Wasp Youth World Champion and his ambitions to join Rockwool Denmark.
Meanwhile, Rachel Béchard took the win in the women's fleet following a tight battle with 3 sailors tied on points going into the final day. Having won the 2022 event in Bermuda, only to then finish second in the Season 3 final, she was determined to top the podium this season. She re-qualified at Event 1 in Chicago and has trained hard since then, proving that hard work and determination go a long way.
It's Championship Sunday here at SailGP Season 4 Grand Final. As we welcome you to San Francisco and event number 13, we've got one more fleet race for Season 4, and then it's the Grand Final and the race for $2 million.
Hey everyone, I am back, and that was just the finish of race number 1, and oh my gosh, that was so exciting. I was biting my nails down to the very last leg. I mean, watching the French and the Spanish duke it out from the very beginning of the race was absolutely insane, because I mean, we are fighting for that third and final spot in the grand final. The Kiwis and also the Aussies, they've secured their spot, but it's down to the third place finalist, and that's either the Spanish or the French. And seeing how well the French did yesterday, they had the 18-meter wing on, breeze on, they had incredible starts, and they just did so well. I mean, even I thought, like, the French might have this. The French might take away that third and final spot in the grand final from the Spanish. But, oh my gosh, I think the pressure is getting into both of the heads of the Spanish and the French. I mean, the start of that last race was disastrous for both of them. I mean, you couldn't even see them in the broadcast camera. I mean, that was really not great for both of them. And the French did a really nice job of battling back into the fleet. They managed to get into third place at one point, but getting into that final mark, reaching back into the finish, they thought they had rights. They were coming in on port, which is, it's never a great position to be in because you're not in the rights, but you have a circle surrounding that mark, and if the French had if they had pierced that bubble, then they would have had rights, but they didn't, and they absolutely blew their chances. They blew their rudder out, and they're out. They're out of the competition, and I think this really opens it up for Spain. I'm super excited to see how this last race goes, and if the Spanish make it in, they're going to be in the grand final racing for that $2 million. So we're just about to go into the second race, and I'll see you guys after. Bye.
Flying carbon machines driven by the world's best. Yes, powered by nature, powered by nature. We are SailGP.
Well, the drama is playing out on the water here in San Francisco at the SailGP Season 4 Grand Final, event number 13. Breaking news, and it regards France and their ability to sail on. We check in now on the water with Lisa Darmanin.
Todd, it's devastating scenes down here for France. They had the new rudder, they took it onto the boat, but they're just running out of time to replace it. And in the meantime, we found out they're going to get 8 penalty points for causing damage, which basically takes them out of the final. And I mean, what an epic race that was between Spain and France. A hard way to finish, but I think we're in store for a pretty epic final between 3 boats that really deserve it.
Well, the breaking news with France having damage to their boat and being assessed an 8-point penalty for causing damage and contact, which means the French, who were in a position to be in the $2 million grand final, are now out and their day is done. So we'll take you back and show you exactly what happened. These are the final moments, Stevie. France coming in just a little too aggressive.
Well, they've got to keep clear of the Danish unless they're inside that yellow circle. Look how close they are, meters away. Ooh. And you see there on the right-hand side, we're going to see from the Danish perspective, they've got the right of way. And then they just try and avoid France later, but you see their rudder in the background.
See it flex.
Yeah, well, it snaps the horizontal lifting part of that rudder off. We'll get a better view from this angle. But yeah, France need to keep clear of Denmark in this position. And they just turn way too close. It's actually Nikolai that's trying to keep clear of them. So Nikolai does a pretty good job of avoiding a catastrophic incident. You know, as Emily said, they did a nice job to get the wing round the right way and save it from a capsize, but ultimately it doesn't really matter now. Absolute disaster and a bit gutting, to be honest.
And what's so devastating for the French is they've kept their nose clean all season. They were one of only 3 teams going into this event with no penalty points. So for that to happen at this point is just devastating, and you can see just how much it means to the team.
An opportunity to race for $2 million goes away in a matter of seconds. So we now get ready for the 5th and final fleet race of season 4. It's coming up in just about 3 minutes time. It will now be just 9 teams out on the water, and we can safely say now the 3 teams that will race in San Francisco for $2 million in less than 30 minutes time will be New Zealand, Australia, and Spain. So 2:45 to go. 9 boats out on the water. 1 final race. The numbers, Stevie, they're already in. I know a lot of teams want to finish on a high. There's a lot of teams looking for investors. There's still a lot to play for, but Spain, out of nowhere, it looked like they were done. France had the momentum, and here they are. Vamos Gallos.
Yeah, and I mean, they've fought like that all year, haven't they? It's been a fairly roller coaster season for them often. And, you know, Diego came in this time last year, really. He's not done too many events, but I think the partnership he has with Florian Trittel, they're off to do the Olympics together in Marseille in just a few weeks' time. So they've got that kind of team work in there. It fits very nicely. And they know how to scrap. They fought hard all year, and they'll fight really hard in this final. I've got no doubt about that.
So Spain is in. Diego Botín, their team winning 2 events this year. They won in Los Angeles and in Bermuda. Highly different circumstances because remember, Emily, LA was very calm winds, Bermuda very high winds. So they've shown that they're very all-terrain vehicle type sailors. But I just, the hole they dug themselves, it looked like they were going nowhere fast.
I think it's just a reminder, though, just how quickly things can change in SailGP. And now, while we're saying they're through to the final, there is still 1 race left. And while they're there on points, all it would take is an incident. Someone could get penalty points. There's still so much that can happen. I mean, no one expected that to happen to France just then. So,
Stevie, we're talking for France. They were within, what, 300 meters of the final, crossing the finish line and having a chance to race it off for one last, and then the contact done.
Yeah, and yes, I mean, you know, there's a lot of little things, isn't it? I'd have said it was the mistake they made at gate number 4 and the maneuver they pulled off there, and that's a good lesson to all young sailors out there. You know, respect the basics.
So here we go, 1 minute to go. Race number 5, the final fleet race of the 4th season of SailGP here in San Francisco, and then it's on to the grand final in the $2 million race. Teams getting themselves into position. Take a deep breath, reset. 45 seconds until we go.
Yeah, here we go. We're going to line back up for the start line. Then we've got Rockwool, Denmark. Their boat seems to be working just fine, which is good news. They turn in towards the top end here. Australia and New Zealand both having a look at each other. A little bit of dress rehearsal for the grand final, of course. But they want to avoid any particular contact, that's for sure. So we've got Germany out the back, Spain out the back, New Zealand coming in at the bottom of the line. I like where the Kiwis are at the moment, but Spain will have a run up at them. Our pole predictor suggests Canada are perfectly positioned at the moment. Can they execute from here? Aggressive defence from New Zealand at the bottom of our screen. Now it's about winding the speed up. Can you hit that line fast when that line turns white? And here we go, Australia well positioned, New Zealand well positioned, perhaps a little early back. There go Canada, they turn the boat down, and it's going to be Australia full pace. I think from there they're going to be in a drag race with Rockwool, Denmark, and who's going to lead at Mark 1? My money's going on Australia.
Puff on here in 2, 1, puff on.
Look at the speeds approaching 90 kilometers an hour as they come up on mark number 1 in the absolute final fleet race of season 4. And it's the Australians on the inside, the Danes on the outside, and Canada trying to make a move to get clean air.
Perfect from the Australians there. They hit the gun so fast. They've now got total to control there. And that's 2 starts in a row where the New Zealand boat's been a fraction of a second early and they've had to slow things down. So that's a worry for Burling. He's going to need to recalibrate here. But in the fleet, right now, Australia are stretching away. And I think often this sailing world and any sport, it's about momentum, isn't it? And right now, the momentum is with the Australians.
Coming up to build, relatives. Falling down.
Just hear how calm it is on board. That was Carl Langford there. He's just talking about what speed does he want in the boat. And he's just telling Tom, you know, Tom's looking around tactically with Tash, and then you've got Kyle there actually trying to make sure the boat's at optimum speed, optimum angle.
right front of your wing now.
Feels like we're lifted a lot here. Yeah, high patch. Okay, pressure on here in 2.
It's interesting there as well. You had Kyle, he's got his eyes out the boat. He's saying, watch out for the waves. Milky, well, that's Jason Waterhouse, the flight controller. So he's kind of having to run communication through the whole team. And I think that's where Kyle, it's a real super strength is.
And there we go. Those are the live speeds there. 70 kilometers an hour, 42 miles per hour for the Americans watching. Not as quick as yesterday, but the conditions are still so tricky out there. Super gusty down at this bottom gate.
At gate number 2 is Australia in first place. Denmark will move up into second place as they pass Canada. And then the USA and Spain, the top 5. The irony of this whole situation, Stevie, with France, this track is massive. This is a huge course. And in the final leg of race 4, France seems to run out of space.
Yeah, but often the gates and the mark roundings, it's always a pinch point. You know, I think it was just a tight racing incident. It was a slight misjudgment, and you know, unfortunately, you can pay pretty heavily for that. But we see the Spanish boat up now. They've got an opportunity. The weight's off their shoulders now, I'd say. Making the finals an incredible achievement. So what can they go and achieve? It's the first time probably that they can sail semi-relaxed all weekend.
Stevie, what is happening at the moment with this Kiwi team? They didn't have the best start, but I still don't expect them to be in 9th place.
No, but I just think you're right. It was the start. I mean, the timing's just a little bit off for them at the moment, and they haven't looked quite as quick this weekend, or perhaps maybe they have looked as quick, but the Australians look back to form, and the Australians love this windy condition. Slingsby's absolute specialist in it. But it's still going to all come down to that start. And 2 in a row, Pete Burling's had to just wince away from the start line a little bit, slow the boat down, and Slingsby's been perfect.
Speaking of Australia coming into this is how it all plays out.
Have a look at it.
How about that? This is the event leaderboard, 29 points all the way down to 4th place, with Canada dropping 8, France dropping 8 points for penalty.
Penalty USA relative Spain.
USA pick up a penalty on Spain, but there's still $2.2 million out there. Of course, New Zealand picked up $350,000 for winning the overall season title, but Emily, a lot of cash out there.
Yeah, and that's all decided on this race right here. There is no final for the San Fran event. It's decided here at the end of 5 fleet races, and then we have the grand final.
So what you're saying is there's 4 teams out there fighting for $200,000 extra dollars in their coffers.
Yeah, that'd motivate you. It'd motivate me anyway. But you know, at the moment the Australians are just sailing really well, and I know for a fact that, you know, Tom Slingsby, he is very, very driven by the results, by the performance. Takes a huge amount of pride in what this team's done. 3 years in a row they've managed to do that. Chicago Bulls, Michael Jordan, he managed to do that 3 times in a row, but he never got the 4th. So I think it would be a huge legacy for this Australian team were they to be able to bring it home here.
You have to check your math on that one. He did get 6.
Not in a row, though.
Not in a row. Okay, just making sure.
Yeah.
For the American fans out there going, wait a second, you know he's the GOAT.
Yeah.
Leg 3 of 6 here, SailGP Season 4 Grand Final here in San Francisco. This is event 13, one of the most beautiful skylines anywhere in North America. And right now, the Aussies out in front, not taking time to take in the sights. San Francisco waters have been very good to Tom Slingsby, Stevie. They're a momentum team as we go on board Canada with our T-Mobile 5G POV camera angle to give you an idea just how these boats fly.
Yeah, they're sailing the boats a lot smoother today. And interesting fact, Lisa, is the wind a bit steadier out there at the moment, Lisa? They all seem to be sailing the boats a lot smoother than they were yesterday.
Am I right?
It is way steadier. It's more even across the course. The lulls aren't as big, and with these 24-meter wings, they can kind of get through the soft spots a lot more. One interesting thing with this Australian team, last time we saw them with this configuration, small boards, big wing, middle-sized wing was in Bermuda, and they won 3 in a row. So I think they like this configuration, but it's absolutely smoking. Where these boats are going right now, the wind is pumping.
Yeah, look at that. As they came around that gate, Lisa, they went out close to 90 kilometers an hour. They settled back down to around 80 with Canada right behind them. Denmark's in 3rd, and there is Spain keeping the assets safe as they sit in 5th place right now. They have punched their ticket in, so we know the grand final is set. It will be New Zealand, it will be Australia, it will be Spain. They will be racing 1 race for $2 million.
Yeah, well, and the Kiwi team seems to really be keeping the assets safe as we come on board with our T-Mobile camera again there. The Spanish are definitely looking a lot smoother around the course, but New Zealand back in 9th, Australia in 1st. I mean, it's not the way you want to go into a final, is it?
No.
One great thing about that camera shot we just had was it showed that the Spanish team aren't quite pushing that ride height as much as we've seen previously. And that shows because they're just a little bit more stable, staying locked in and sailing consistently.
Well, Australia is the first team at this regatta to have multiple wins. They won race number 2, they won race number 4, and it looks like they're on their way to winning race number 5. The big question, I know Tom Slingsby, Stevie, would cash in all those wins to get one more win in the grand final because that's the big payday one. But the momentum that the Aussies have right now is pretty strong.
Yeah, it's absolutely huge. I think the most important thing with it is Burling's timing back to the line in the last 2 starts has been about half a second, maybe less than that, early. So he's had to, at the last minute, do a little kill of his speed, slow the boat down a bit to not be over the line early. It's a micro reset, but that's an awful lot easier said than done.
Especially in this venue, you know, previously we've seen he's able to sail up through the fleet, but this is very much a boat speed venue. It's all about being able to sail fast in a straight line, not necessarily picking out all the ships, which is what the Kiwi's super strength is. So he's really going to have to focus for that start in the grand final.
Gate 4, it's Australia, Denmark, Canada 1, 2, and 3. Spain sits in 4th with Emirates, GBR, and Giles Scott in 5th place. It's a foregone conclusion because we know who's going to the grand final with Australia, New Zealand, and Spain, Stevie. I like Australia's momentum. I like New Zealand's skill set, the way they dominated this season, but Spain somehow has this Cinderella story script hanging out there in the wind with Carlos Alcaraz, the Spanish winning the Euros, and they scrapped their way, somehow found a way into the grand final. Does it play out and they walk away with $2 million?
Well, and I think, you know, ultimately they go into it with zero pressure. No one expects them to do it. It's all about Slingsby versus Burling or New Zealand versus Australia, whatever you want to do. But they've shown in Bermuda, when they went into that same final, that they could deliver a win. So I can be sure that that whole Spanish team, and probably the Spanish nation, will believe they can do that.
Yeah, I don't think we should be selling them short at all. You look at going into this event and they were in 3rd, so they have just retained their position, really. They did almost let it slip, but they're where they started.
Yeah, they almost threw away a 5-point lead, and just moments ago, on board the Blackfoils in New Zealand, this happened.
They're into a manoeuvre here, turning the boat, jive downwind there. And look, they just get a little loose through the manoeuvre. That's just, I don't know whether that's just how the board drop's going, whether that was a slight mishap with the setting.
Avoiding the German team here.
Well, they were, but I think the board's all down. It's just they don't execute the manoeuvre very well. I think they'd end up in that position relative to Germany quite often, but I just think they didn't quite execute. As the board goes down, they ended up with too much lift in the system, and the whole boat got a bit high. Now, was that user error, or was that a mechanical error on board the boat? Hopefully user error, because that's a lot easier fixed.
So the Kiwis in 8th place, really not a matter for them because they are already into that grand final. Australia, meanwhile, sailing clear. Their holes are not full of seawater, and they are going to take it home with time to spare. So on Championship Sunday, the Australians all dressed up with 1 place to go, and that's the grand final. Another date possibly with destiny, as they are the 3-time reigning and defending champions, looking to make it 4 in a row, as they will have absolute ownership of SailGP, but they've got to do it in the final race. The winners of race 5, the Aussies.
What a performance. I mean, he was absolutely perfect at the start. He did lead at Mark 1. Well, there you go. Oh, see, he likes that. But that's, you know, he likes that, doesn't he? And that's what I mean about momentum. If you're on that Australian boat, you've won the race, and then you've seen your main rivals last, I mean, that's just massive for your confidence going in.
Mark 5, this was the scene just about 20 minutes ago with France making contact with Denmark. They got the 8-point penalty plus the damage. Canada and Phil Robertson, they'll spin it around Mark number 5. Plenty of room for them inside the circle, giving them priority. And Canada will come in their final race in season 4. They will finish in 3rd. And now the question is, will they be back for season 5? As that team is for sale, looking for investors. They'll take 3rd. Spain comes in safely, protects the asset. They're on their way to the grand final. They finish in 4th.
Big vamos there, I'd have said. What a performance. Emirates Great Britain, probably not the result they would have quite wanted at this event, but they have had a very positive end to the season, I think, with that driver change from Ben Ainsley to Giles Scott. The momentum's growing for Emirates Great Britain, but I think they'd be a little bit disappointed not to have been able to perhaps challenge for an event win.
Maybe we can handle the sheets from there.
There we go. Time to think about a three-boat race for the Spanish now. And, you know, first time they can really think of that on board that Spanish boat, and they're already into it. You've got to start thinking about this next race already, because it's not far away.
There'll be a quick turnaround as they can get a little bit of in the distance. You see Germany going for a bit of a ride.
Germany and Switzerland were having a little bit of a head-to-head. That was the Germans, should have kept out the way there.
This is the umpires, penalty Germany, relative Switzerland.
Yeah, I agree with that one. That was a little bit loose by the Germans. I think the hard thing to take on board is there's so many people having to do so many jobs on these boats that once they are going at the speeds they're going, it's easy to lose track of things, and suddenly things happen a bit quicker than they're all expecting. So lots of learnings and takeaways there, but it's been a good first season for the German team, I'd say, overall. You know, they'll be coming back strong in season 5, I've got no doubt about that.
Germany with Eric Heil, the two-time Olympic bronze medalist at the helm. Good learning season for them. Let's look at this one more time. This is...
Well, you can just see here, the Germans are turning. They're turning onto the tack that doesn't have the right of way, so they have to be sure that they're clear of Switzerland, and they were far from it. They just turned straight into them. So pretty fundamental error there. I'm not entirely sure why. I think they were expecting the Swedish to turn away, but the Swedish were never going to do that.
Well, the 5 fleet races are now complete. SailGP Season 4 Grand Final is all that is left. As we take a look at the results, it is Australia that will win the regatta here in San Francisco, picking up another $200,000. Rockwell, Denmark finishes in 2nd. Emirates GBR finishing in 3rd. New Zealand goes 4th. Canada 5th. Spain in 6th, but they did enough to get into the Grand Final in a terrible day for France. Germany in 8th. The USA disappointing 9th place finish, and 8th Nathan Outer and the Swiss will finish in 10th place on 12 points. So the Australians now sit. They will not celebrate too much about being the event winners, although an extra $200,000 is never a terrible thing. And they will now set their sight on the Grand Final. They are the 3-time reigning champions. We've said it before. We'll say it again. Will we be saying 4 times? We'll find out in about 15 minutes. The Grand Final is all that's left here in San Francisco, and the battle for $2 million.
Hey everyone, it's CJ, and I'm back after race number 2. And my oh my, that was so good. I feel like the conditions here in San Francisco are just perfect for a race like the Grand Final. I mean, this is the most important race of the whole season, and so many fans have come out. All the bleachers are fully lined with fans, and they're all cheering so hard. I mean, it's so cool to see. You know, the boats are flying past the fans, and, you know, it's so windy actually that the teams don't have a lot of control over the boats just yet. I mean, when a gust hits, maybe they fly out of the water or they skid sideways. It's never perfect, and that just gives the fans such a good show. It's really nice to be here in San Francisco, and obviously the weather is beautiful. The sun is out, and the fog has cleared up, which is really, really cool. We're just about to go into our event final, and then we'll go into our Grand Final right after. But it does look like the Spanish have secured a spot in that Grand Final. And, you know, I'm really excited because if you guys already know, the Spanish won in Wimbledon. Today, they've also won in the Euro Cup in football. And I'm excited to see if they can do it here in sailing, because that'll be a really cool triple win for their country. And I think the Spanish, they do deserve it, and they've worked so hard this season. But also, who I think may deserve it even more is the Kiwis. I mean, they've had such an incredible season thus far. And I mean, all the challenges that they've had. I mean, this is the season that they've had their wing collapse. Peter wasn't here for an event, so they've just had a lot of challenges to overcome, and I think they've done so well against all those odds. And I really think that this could be their year. I know there's a lot of Aussie fans out in the crowd as well. We're just about to head into the next race, and I'll see you guys later.
Yes, powered by nature, powered by nature. We are SailGP.
Well, we are down to the event final is done. The grand final is all that awaits. Congratulations to Australia. They win the event and the prize money, but now everyone turns their attention to the grand final. Beautiful day for racing in San Francisco, and it will be New Zealand, it will be Australia, and it will be Spain by virtue of finishing in the top 3 after 13 events. New Zealand has been dominant, Australia has been amazing with the momentum, and Spain has found a way to get themselves into the biggest race of their lives. So we can take a look now as they debrief. Stevie, I gotta wonder what is going through their minds. What are they talking about? Can you change any strategy? What are you seeing? I'm sure they want to talk to Lisa Darman and see what the conditions are going to be like.
I'm sure they'd love to have a bit of input from Lisa. There's no doubt about that. They'll be having a big discussion now. They've already got the course dimensions, the course axis, so they'll have a pretty good idea as to what is the favoured position to be starting. And they'll be just talking through a few pre-race plans, but we'll be able to go on board hopefully and find out from some of them what they're up to.
And just a few short moments ago, Lisa Darman with Pete Burley.
Are you excited to finally get racing in that grand final? There'll be a bit more space on the course too.
Yeah, we always love the finals. Would have liked to go on with a little bit on that last one, but you know we've been pushing the boat super hard, trying to find the edge all weekend. So it's really comfortable with where we're at, and looking forward to getting into this final race.
With the 3-boat final, I just saw you talking to your strategist, Liv. Can you let us into your strategy or what you're thinking? Anything different? Where are you going to start on that start line?
Yeah. It's obviously 3 boats. It's a different strategy. You just got to beat 2 of them. It was amazing to see the incident with France earlier in the day. So glad we got the boat in one piece. Heading into that, and just looking forward to going into it all.
The other 2 are looking pretty good. Are you worried about them, or full confidence in New Zealand?
Full confidence in what we can do. We know that if we put together a good race, we'll be there, and just looking forward to going and executing.
Thanks so much, Pete, and good luck.
Thank you.
So that's Peter Burling talking with Lisa Darman. And just a few moments ago, they win the season and they take $350,000, looking for the big payout now in the grand final of $2 million. And their old rivals, the Aussies, the green and gold, are back in a final yet again. Go on board now with the Australians and Tom Slingsby. Tom, you've been in this situation 3 times before. How about a 4th time, and how are you feeling about your crew and your chances today?
Okay, I just got to do an interview. Was that me?
Yeah, that's you. Go ahead.
You guys calling me?
Yes, please, Tom.
We're sorry. I just got the last bit of that sentence. We're feeling good. Sounds really well the first 2 races. But none of that matters. Throw everything out the door now. We've got a one-off race for $2 million.
And Tom, with that in mind, where's the place to start in this one?
If you can take the bottom position. Sorry, I've got Pete talking on the race comms. If you can be the boat at the bottom of the start and matching speed to the boats above, you're going to be pretty strong. But yeah, it's pretty hard on that first reach, really puffy. Sometimes we get a bit of cross waves that so you see people go up and down a bit. We're hitting cavitation, so it's plenty happening.
Tom, I've got to ask you, you guys won 3 of the 5 races here in the fleet races. Do you see tendencies coming from either Spain or New Zealand? You know them really well after 13 events. Do you know what they like to do? Will you try to neutralize that, or are you guys just going to sail your own race?
What? We know the Kiwis will probably try to follow us into this start. They like tailing a boat. They choose one boat to tail, and then they try to tack under them. Sorry, we've got race committee comms in here. I can't hear you guys.
No worries, Tom. Appreciate your time. We wish you the best of luck. You got 3.5 minutes to get ready.
Okay, thank you.
So Tom Slingsby kind enough to take some time to chat with us, Stevie. Very telling, especially when he was talking about Emily. Do you agree with what he's saying about the Kiwis?
Yeah, it's definitely a strategy that we've seen so far. What I found really interesting was he spoke about cavitation. Now that is when the boats are going so quickly that the water over the foils starts to boil. So essentially you get air around the foils and it causes all the lift to disappear, the boats to crash down, and that's what's causing that instability on that first reach. So it adds that element of excitement.
So under 6 minutes to go until the grand final here in San Francisco, event number 13, and the race will be on for $2 million. Let's go down on the water with 5.5 minutes to go before the grand final. Lisa Darmanin, what do you know? What can you tell us? And more importantly, all the sailors want to know, what are the conditions?
Well, the conditions are pretty similar. If anything, I would say it has backed off slightly, but don't worry, there's still plenty of wind out here on the bay in San Francisco. One thing I have noticed, though, is when I was interviewing Peter Burling, they had the tech team approaching their rib. They've got some spares going on the boat. I'm not quite sure exactly what's going on, but I think they've asked for a bit of a delay just so that they can fix a few things and make sure that F50 is in tip-top shape for this grand final.
Lisa, let me ask you, because you are closer to most of these sailors than anyone else as you've traveled around the world, bid with them, you've seen their tendencies. Who do you like in this situation with these conditions and the $2 million pressure that's going to be applied to them?
Well, I think we talk about momentum in sports so much. I mean, Pete seemed pretty calm and chill then, but I mean, they haven't done as well as the Australians today. The Australians are in their element. We know they drive off confidence, but Spain, I mean, they had a rough weekend. They were out the back all weekend and fought their way through the fleet and hung on and sailed really well. So I definitely wouldn't count them out either. I know I'm not giving you a straight answer, but any one of these teams could win the final, and that is just so exciting as a spectator to watch.
All right, thank you very much, Lisa. We are going to go racing in 4 minutes and 11 seconds. As we do that, we want to tell you about some of the all-stars in SailGP as we put it to a vote and we ask you, the viewers, who you thought would be on the Dream Team. And the Dream Team looks like this as voted on by you, the fans. In the driver position, it is none other than New Zealand's Peter Burling.
With his clear comms and that ability to keep calm under pressure, it is no surprise that Burling was picked as driver by the fans.
The Black Foils in first place in the overall standings coming into the last event. The wing trimmer, Kyle Langford, Australia.
Well, certainly one of the more experienced wing trimmers. He's been there, done it all, hasn't he? 3 times winner. He provides that centerpiece to the team, and he's just got all the accolades he deserves.
Flight controller will go to Canada's Billy Gooderham.
And it's only been a couple seasons that Billy has been on board, but he has learned so quickly and can keep up with the best.
Joan Cardona, the grinder from Spain.
Well, grinder, but also Olympic medalist in the fin class, so he brings that strategical element to the team. He's a real jewel in the crown.
The other grinder, Timothy Lapau.
Now, he is an absolute powerhouse on the front of the boat, but in addition to that, he brings an air of positivity to every team he's part of.
And the strategist, it's Hannah Mills from Emirates GBR.
Well, what else is there to say, really? 2-time gold medalist. She's been there, done it all. Most successful female sailor of all time. I think she just brings a calmness in the decision-making, makes sure Giles Scott feels backed up.
And that is your SailGP Season 4 Dream Team, voted on by you, the fans. And we are now just 2 minutes and 5 seconds away from the grand final. What started out last June, we have now made it to July in San Francisco waters. Under 2 minutes to go, Stevie. This is going to be full on with $2 million waiting the winner at the finish line.
Well, I've got no chance of winning the money, but I'm pretty nervous sat here right now. I just think it's a huge moment, isn't it? And what we know about this is that the next 1 minute 45 will be so pivotal in that, because this whole run into the start line, the whole route back to it is crucial, because I believe that whoever leads at Mark 1 will win the event.
So as we've seen in previous races, that optimum position on the line is the bottom end of the line. That gives you the best angle to Mark 1. So all 3 teams will be battling for that spot.
I hate to keep bringing it back to cash, but the Kiwis have already won over $1 million this year in sailing prize money. They obviously picked up the $350,000 extra bonus before winning the season. We talked about the regatta winners, Australia picking up another $200,000. So does that mean it's Spain's chance to win some money, as we are now hearing that there is a slight delay out on the course? We saw the Kiwis, the Blackfoils, doing repairs on their boat. So maybe, Stevie, it's a situation where they're out there sailing and right now something's just not right.
Well, and interestingly, where they were actually working on the boat was the foil. I don't know if you remember in race 5, we had a moment where we did a replay and we went on board and we could see that they were going into a jibe, so where they turned the boat through downwind, and as the board went down, something wasn't quite right because the boat flew too high. And we said maybe it's user error, which is easier fix, but it could well have been a slight mechanical issue with how that board's dropping. So that's, I think, why they've had the crew on board. Is totally a guess, but it was the foil that they were dropping onto that seemed to be the problem.
And it is really important that we go into this race with all the teams on that level playing field, working boats, because we want this grand final to be decided on the talent of these crews and not a simple boat.
And for the fans that are new to SailGP, Stevie and Emily, it's important to note these boats are all prepared equally. They're all the same. No one has extra bonus. They haven't kicked in money for a turbo or like that. They're all prepared. Now, they can set it up the way they like with small tweaks, but these boats are pretty much all identical.
Yeah, and I think what's so really almost even then the next level of interest on that is all the data from all the boats goes up into the Oracle Cloud, and every team's able to access every bit of information from every team. So you can constantly be learning out there. But I think at this stage, they're probably not at the learning stage. I think they'll be confident in the settings they've got, and it's now all about execution. We've got 1 minute 35 to go, and just take a moment with this great camera angle here. Look at the different colours, the different textures on the water there. Shows it's pretty gusty and shifty up at the top of the course. So whilst I do think that if you lead at Mark 1, you're going to be in a very, very strong position, this race is going to be wide open to the chance of an overtake, because if you can separate from the boat ahead of you and you make that decision right, opportunity will knock.
Doesn't get much better than that. One of the great sport towns in America, San Francisco, California, with the iconic Golden Gate Bridge. The conditions near perfection. It will be Spain, it will be Australia, and it will be New Zealand to decide who walks away with $2 million and honors as champion in season 4.
Well, it looks like Tom Slingsby has looked into his magic ball and got the answer that he would be followed back by Burling, because Burling is last into the box with 46 seconds to go. Spain separates out. Expect Australia and New Zealand to get quite close in a battle for that downwind end of the line. Spain looks like they're going to go for space. New Zealand decides to turn back early. 34 seconds to go here. Every boat's going to have a long run up. It's all on the judgment. Top of the line, Spain. They're going to have the fastest angle to Mark 1, but that optimum position is at the downwind end. Here comes the push from Slingsby. Trying to get over the top, trying to gain control. Burling now, he's the attacker. Who's got their timing right here with 18 seconds to go? It's time to wind it up on board Spain right now. New Zealand are going to have one more big push at the Australians. Can Slingsby defend? Timing, absolutely crucial. Pole position sits with Australia, and at the bottom of the line, here comes the Blackfoils. Who's got their timing right? They're all going to hit the line fast. Spain's so fast at the top of the line. Pole predictor says they're going to lead at Mark 1, but I think they're going to struggle to get around the top of the Australians from here. Absolute drag racing at the moment. New Zealand, can they stay alongside? It's going to be Spain. They're going to lead at Mark 1.
There we go.
The season 4 grand final is on as they approach mark number 1, and it is the Spanish out in front. The first time they have led a race here in San Francisco, and they picked the perfect time.
Oh, the execution was perfect on, and you could just see the ramifications of those other races. New Zealand were scared of the start line. They ended up a little bit slow at it. They've been early other time. Look at the fans on the shore. There's been 2 massive sporting successes for Spain today. They say these things come in threes, and well, a start like that makes it best possible. Australia are being forced off the course. There's a boat in the way of them. Oh no, disaster for the Aussies. No massive panic, but that's really opened the door for the Blackfoils to come back at the Spanish as they set themselves up for Gate 2. We've seen that one more manoeuvre and a right turn has been the favoured move all day. Let's see what they go with.
And the pressure is on the Spanish team here. They have been slightly slower on average on this downwind leg than the Kiwis, trailing behind them, but clearly gusting pressure on them now, almost up to 80 kilometres an hour.
See the dark patches on the water, that's what they're looking for. That's where your gusts of winds are coming from. You see the speeds at the top of the mast. 76 kilometers an hour for the Spanish out in front. They got the whole shot, and now it is on. It is going to be who can reach this finish line first. We've got 6 legs to go, and the Spanish in prime position.
They're setting it up here. They'll gain the right of way when they manoeuvre the boat here, so they don't need to worry too much about the Australians. They just need to worry about the gate. Now for the Blackfoils, they want to keep things tight as we're heading down to the bottom of the course. Australia, oh, there's a late decision there by Slingsby. That doesn't look like the perfect manoeuvre, but it's so tight. Oh, there's just one turning mark at the bottom of the course here. Spain, they take the right turn. They're going to go round, but New Zealand execute a nice turning. Advantage New Zealand at the moment. As we head towards that boundary on the shoreline there, the Spanish will be able to manoeuvre away, but the Blackfoils are coming as all 3 boats head off in the same direction. It's just a boat speed race at the moment.
A boat speed race, but there is so much pressure on every manoeuvre they make, especially as they get in close to the shore and it gets gustier. They cannot drop off the foils in these manoeuvres, or they leave the door open to the boats behind to get through.
Here we go. New Zealand, they manoeuvre straight on top of the Australians. That's not good news for Slingsby, and the Spanish now, they're stretching out all the way to boundary here. So now this is a real test of strength as we go across here. Can the Spanish, with their nose out in front, make that red boat go fast enough? They've struggled all weekend, but they've given themselves the perfect opportunity right now. But the Blackfoils are faster at the moment.
And there you get a good idea of just how big that lead is. It's about 100 meters with Spain at the top of your screen. The red and yellow. Then it's New Zealand in second place, Australia in third.
All 3 teams with 100% fly time so far. On average, we're seeing the Spanish push that ride height just a little bit more than the other 2, really putting that pressure on themselves to get there first.
Hard moment for the Australians across there, but I think it's going to get hard for the Kiwis from here because Spanish focus will go on to that second place boat right now. They'll try and put the boat directly into the wind of the New Zealand boat, try and block the wind down to the New Zealand boat as we're on board the T-Mobile for Business POV camera, and that's a pretty smooth tack out there. But Lisa, we can see all the boats heading back towards the shoreline. Where's the advantage at the minute?
The shoreline has definitely been paying all day. What's really interesting though is the whole course has gotten way flatter, so that tide is probably ripping in now, so that's flattening the waves out. So they can probably push the boat, like Emily was saying with the ride height. It has gotten a little bit lighter as well, so they can probably push the boat even more. So it'd be interesting. It is neck and neck here. Anything can happen still.
Oh, they're in a really good patch of wind on that shoreline, Todd. Spain have the right of way here, but the Australians have gone so fast across there. It's going to be a big blocking move by the Spanish. New Zealand now have some space, but they're back in third, but there's nothing in this. When the boats come back together, New Zealand will have the right of way, but are they close enough to make that count?
Coming up on the halfway point here, the grand final, leg 3 of 6. It is Spain barely ahead of the Australians, and there you see on the left side of your screen, it is New Zealand. So who is going to make the right decision here as they approach the gate?
Speeds are looking good on those teams close to the shore, Spain and Australia. Kiwis looking a little bit slower on average offshore.
I just think there's more wind up on that shoreline. They were in a big patch of breeze up there, the Spanish and the Australians, but there's still plenty to go here in this race, but the Blackfoils have got a problem. They've got to find a way through, and there's not going to be easily found. Spain positioning themselves perfectly. They've maybe sailed a little bit further than they needed to here. Could have been right in front of the Australians there. Slight mistake by the Spanish. They will lead at this gate, but they could have hurt the Australians into here.
It is a safe place for them to manoeuvre though. They can put the bow down, sail a wider angle, accelerate. As you can see here, 69, 70 kilometers an hour for the Spanish team.
And watch this as they hit the turbo and make the turn. Look at the speeds.
Ooh, 90k an hour around that mark. And here we go, roll of the dice for New Zealand. Desperation times for the Blackfoils. They've been so dominant in season 4, but it doesn't matter. The Spanish boat, who've also really been the surprise act of the whole season, well, look at them. Go the Gambas.
All the points are washed away to Stevie's point, although the Kiwis came into this one on 93 points, well clear of Australia and Spain. Those scores marked away. It is all one race for the title.
Go, look at the Spanish go, and of course, Wimbledon was won today by Carlos Alcaraz. The European Football Championships was won today by the Spanish, and here we go.
They're going for the triple.
Feels like it. Feels like momentum's on their side, doesn't it? But the Australians are not going away anywhere. New Zealand have sailed away from wind. There's definitely more wind by that shore.
Keep it close here, guys. We'll take them on the next feed.
Oh, good call. Good call. A solid call. It's not the time to roll it away. You don't. If you want to overtake someone, you don't deliberately do the wrong thing. You've got to keep the pressure on. Slingsby's been in this situation. Diego Botín has never been in a situation where he's got in his hands at the moment. He holds the SailGP Season 4 trophy.
Diego Botín now operating with a 100-meter lead. He does not know what Tom Slingsby is planning, but he's got to know, Stevie, Tom Slingsby is going to take some chances. He's got one more leg to do it.
And they're setting up here for that final maneuver downwind to that bottom gate. It's a right turn in. There's no options here, so they'll be headed back in towards the shore where they had better breeze.
It's pretty nice for the Spanish that there is only one mark at the bottom there, where that gate's unfortunately, we've just ended up with one mark, and it just means total control for the Spanish because Australia have to follow. Okay, the Australians are going to want to try and keep this. They're going to set it up after the next manoeuvre. They'll try and manoeuvre away first and then rely on their boat speed to get around the Spanish. But New Zealand, wow, huge loss by sailing away from that shore.
You can see here the Spanish keep trying to sail that slightly higher mode, so they're a little bit slower than Australia, but they're sailing a shorter distance up the course, and that's just to get a tactical advantage over
they missed the manoeuvre.
Australia dipping both holes.
They missed that.
Still
The board's not gone down. You can see the board's not locking. Oh, that's
huge gains to Spain.
That's a disaster. That's a tech issue. The board's now locked. Big mistake on the tack there. As they turned the boat, the board needed to click onto the lock. It didn't. Oh, it'll be interesting to find out what that was, but that's going to be absolutely disastrous. It's a 150-metre, nearly 200-metre lead for Spain now. Oh, is this the crowning moment for this Spanish team?
Could this be a Cinderella story played out on the water? Look at this one more time.
Here we go. We set up for the manoeuvre here. They turn the boat. It's that foil on the left-hand side of our screen. See how it starts to come up? It's coming up. It's not locked down properly. And as of that, the boat doesn't stay on the foils. Disaster for the Australians. Oh, what a nightmare for them. Massive lead now for the Spanish. Can they make it to this final turning mark with just one more manoeuvre? I'm not sure if they can, looking at the angles we've got here, but the Australians are miles away.
Keep it going.
Yeah, exactly.
Solid, Diego. I think you've nailed it, mate. Just got to keep it calm. They've got to respect the basics now. That yellow line there, that is the ley line. So that means once they've passed that, they should be able to do this one final manoeuvre and then make it to the final turning mark with no more turns. This is it. Season 4 is going to be Spanish.
They've still got a little distance to go. Then they'll hit the last gate. They'll make a quick left-hand turn, and then it's towards the shore. Barring any major disaster, Spain will be celebrating well into the night. And here we go. Spain bringing it home. There's mark number 5. There's the finish line. There's the San Francisco skyline in the distance. This could be the greatest race in Spanish history. They won in Los Angeles. They won in Bermuda, and they've got problems.
They don't have problems. They've just called that ley line a little bit too tight, so they're having to sail really high angles to make this mark, which means they've come off of the foil here, leaving the door open behind them. The Australians are coming in 65 kilometers an hour. Pressure is on for the Spanish team to get back up on the foils here.
Here comes Australia. They make the turn, and now it's a drag race to the finish line. Can the Spanish get it done? They've got 100 meters to go.
Come on!
And they will get it. Vamos España. Spain claims season 4.
Vamos de Gallas.
Australia second, New Zealand third, no penalties. It is official.
Absolutely insane grand final race.
This is a team that started off day 1 with a 7th place finish, a 6th place finish, a 5th place finish, and then in race number 4 they came back with a 7th, only to win the final race, the grand final, $2 million richer.
No one expects the Spanish Inquisition, and they just got that then perfect. They won the start, they led at Mark 1, and from there they kept it calm. They did the basics really well, and they sailed fast. Oh, fantastic. What a performance by this Spanish team.
This team has gone from strength to strength this season. They have mastered the light wind conditions and the epic conditions here in San Fran.
Congratulations, Spain. You have just won season 4 of SailGP. It was one of those, Stevie and Emily, where it's like, well, they're not going to be able to win this.
Well, yeah, but you can just see here.
It was all in that start. The Spanish, they got their space. They didn't go for that optimum position on the line. They just wanted to be away from Australia and New Zealand, who quite early on targeted each other, almost ruling out the Spanish team. But the Spanish nailed their time and distance. They hit the line with 0.1 of a second to go at 85 kilometers an hour.
The Rolex best time start goes to the Spanish. Stevie, they did not let up.
No, they didn't. And I mean, it's worth bearing in mind they're travelling at about 18 metres a second at that time. So to judge it within 0.1 of a second is fairly seriously impressive. As they set up now and they sailed in towards that boundary, and they were the first to manoeuvre away. It got a bit tight for the Australians around that boat. I don't think that had any hugely detrimental effect on them. But there wasn't a gate at the bottom of the course. There was just one turning mark, which seemed to be a bit of a change in the race course that we weren't perhaps expecting. And from here on, it was textbook. Any sailor out there will say, just put yourself in the way, try and block the wind to the boats behind you, try and keep yourself in that direct line. And the Spanish, it was right out of the textbook playbook.
But the moment maybe of the race was Australia having this incident.
Well, we'll never know, will we? I mean, but yes, that was Australia's move to set up a drag race back across to the other side of the course and ask a question, because of course the Spanish made a mistake at the top. Could have been there. Coulda, woulda, shoulda though, Todd.
And here are those numbers from that final race. And just look at the maneuvers by the Spanish team. 5 maneuvers. By leading at Mach 1, they just had so much open space to decide where to go. They managed to sail less distance for almost an identical average speed to the other 2 teams. While the Kiwis did have 100% fly time, it just wasn't enough to get the job done. Fastest speed, but as we've seen all weekend, it's all about the start.
What a way to bring down the curtain as Spain will continue to celebrate. They come into this one. You look at their report card, it's a 7th, a 6th, a 5th, a 6th, a 4th, and then they get their first win, and it is in the grand final. Had France not collided with Denmark, Stevie, they might not have even been in the grand final.
It's all if, buts and maybes though, isn't it? When they had to, they got it done, and they've sailed brilliantly all season. Let's not forget, this is a story, this is a year-long story that they've been on. They've been on a real journey, and they've done a great job, and when it mattered, they delivered the start. They hit that line perfect, and then they were very clinical from there on in.
So now the Spanish team will make their way into the shore for the prize giving, the celebration, and more importantly, the big check of $2 million that will go into their account. And we now go down on the water. Lisa Darmanin is with the winning team. Lisa, take it away.
Diego, all the pressure was on this weekend. You made it into that final. You absolutely delivered. How are you feeling?
I cannot look at this. It's not describable. I cannot describe the feeling now. Such a big pump of adrenaline. I'm trying to slow it down a bit. But yeah, it was an amazing race. We nailed the start. And yeah, we managed to keep a gap. We were lucky because we broke a rudder or something in the last downwind. And yeah, but we managed to stay in front, and yeah, I can't describe it. It's amazing. And it's epic because I think in Spain today we won 4 major events. We won the Euro Cup in football, we won Wimbledon in tennis, we won Live Golf, Sergio Garcia in golf, and now we win SailGP. I think it's unbelievable.
Well, you're a national superstar now. That was an absolute masterclass. You went up against the big dogs as well, and they put the pressure on the whole way.
Yeah. How are they not going to do it, no? No, it's amazing. I can't believe we did it 2 times in Bermuda and now in the super final here in San Fran. The last SailGP final in San Fran in such an iconic event. I don't know, it's unbelievable.
I think you came last season and you've won this season. What an improvement. Can you believe it?
No, I mean, it's amazing. From last to first.
Well, we better take you in to get your trophy and celebrate. What do you reckon?
Yeah. We'll see. We're going to celebrate big time today.
Thank you so much, Diego. We'll let you join your team just behind us.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
All right, thank you, Lisa, and the party really will get underway. Stevie, we missed one, the Live Golf. That's 4 titles for Spain in one day.
Yeah, that is impressive, and I'm intrigued to know how good the sangria is in San Francisco, because it's going to be a night. What I would say, the sheer joy on that boat. I mean, how good did that make you feel when they won? I mean, that was that was a serious showing of emotion and what it means to them. It's just incredible, and couldn't really be happier for them, to be honest with you. They've got so much better all year, and you'd be happy for everyone because any of those teams deserved it.
Well, while they make their way into shore, we want to give you a quick taste as we look back on Season 4. What an epic season it was.
The fleet is back. The best sailors in the world are once again set to fight in equal conditions with equal boats. The fight for the championship starts here.
Season number 4 off to a great start for the Kiwis, and for the first time in SailGP history, the young team from Spain is the winner. Oh!
Don't crash, Phil, don't crash. Limit. Oi, I heard that.
They come to Spain and they claim the victory. Bosh! It is Peter Burling and crew that come across the line. That's 2 event wins in a row. The Kiwis take top honors. Slingsby works his magic. Hocus pocus. Australia takes the win in Sydney.
Major blow for Tom Slingsby. They receive 8 points docked from the season championship.
Perfect start. My lord, disaster!
I think some of the younger generation haven't stepped up to the plate as much as they could have.
And give it up for the Spanish. They will claim the victory here in Bermuda.
Look at the breeze. This is going to be hammer down. Spanish, look, they're out of control.
It will be Empress GBR that claims the win in Canada. That is an amazing performance. That's 5 wins out of 12 events. The Kiwis take the win in New York City. And as the Kiwis celebrated in New York City, the race was on in San Francisco with all the teams coming in, battling for that 3rd and final spot. The Kiwis were in, the Australians were in, and then it was Spain's turn to punch their ticket. They needed a little bit of help, but when the pressure was on, Diego Botín and company delivered in the most pressure-packed situation on a day in Spanish sports history that they will soon not forget. 4 major titles go the way of the Spanish as Spain's SailGP wins it all in the city by the bay. And now the party really gets underway as Spain has made their way to shore, and all that is left is to get on shore, Stevie, and get that trophy. So there is a new sheriff in town in SailGP. After 3 years of Australian reign, it is now the Spanish who rule supreme in SailGP.
Yeah, I mean, what a great moment there for them. It's a pretty small pontoon they're having to go on shore and celebrate with, but there's Eric Heil celebrating with them on the shore there. I think it'll be a very popular victory in SailGP.
And this will be huge for the Spanish team in terms of, their longevity as a team. They were facing the chopping block, potentially one of the teams that might not make it to Season 5, but that's going to be pretty hard to do with a win like this.
Well, they'll make their way onto shore. There's a trophy awaiting them, and that puts a wrap on Season 4. What a ride it's been. All that's next, Season number 5, and we look forward to it.
The red sun rose this morning. Dark skies pronounce your warning. Nowhere to run, nowhere to we are the outlaws.
And now it's an opportunity to get a quick ride into the staging area where the fans are waiting. There are a lot of Spanish fans that have made their way to San Francisco, California. I'll tell you what, Stevie, their day started early today if they wanted to get up and watch Wimbledon. And of course, it carried right into the Euros. And now, late afternoon, City by the Bay. Vamos Gallos, bring it home.
Oh, amazing, yeah, and I mean, they're straight on board a golf cart, ironically, as well, which was the one we missed out on there. But it's just a huge day for Spain in general. I mean, obviously, as an Englishman, it was a hard day with the football for me, to be perfectly honest, but they've sailed incredibly well. They executed under pressure, and the whole season they've been kind of improving. And I think if we think back to Bermuda, when these three went head-to-head in a really good race, really steady racetrack, again, all about those fine details, the Spanish got it done there. There's not a lot of luck in this.
Emily, we talked about how Spain was not on form last year, and Lisa talked to them, and it's basically last to first, a Cinderella story. How do you account for that? How do you account for a team that really just did not seem to know what they were doing to now they are the champs?
Well, I think you have to look at what they went through last season. Obviously, there's been a driver change. We've now got Diego on the wheel, and he has such a tight partnership with wing trimmer Florian, and that has been key in building their team. But again, in general, this team is so positive. They have that vibrancy that just makes it fun to be around. And I think that is a huge part in a successful team because it makes everyone want to learn.
Great opportunity now for the fans to meet the Spanish team as they've made their way on shore. They will now have nothing left to do but collect the prize and the prize money. Remember, Stevie, this is a team that is still looking for investors. They are fighting for their lives in season 5. They want to be on the starting line come November.
Absolutely, and you know, that's a decision far above my pay grade and knowledge of how that all works out. But I'm sure this can't do them any harm at all. And I think, you know, to echo the points Emily made a minute ago, I think, you know, when they got Diego to come into that driver position, you know, he's a 49er skiff sailor from the Olympic scene. Of course, he's going to be going off to Marseille, hoping to win a gold medal, representing Spain out there, of course. But he comes from that 49er background, same as Peter Burling, same as Nathan Outridge, same as a lot of these sailors, and I think he's a round peg in a round hole, and he's come in, and the team's then been able to grow around that strong core of Florian and Diego, who sailed together so much.
Well, there it is. There is the trophy that has resided with the Australians for the first 3 seasons of SailGP, and season 4, it is going to Spain.
I've had a bit of practice with the champagne this year, so they should be able to execute this part of their day fairly well. But just the joy, to see the joy down there is just kind of heartwarming, isn't it?
And the official timekeeper of SailGP Rolex, and that is one fine timepiece.
I wonder if it's just Diego that gets that though.
I'm sure the rest of the crew right now is asking the same question. So all that's left to do is hand off the trophy, and to do the honors, it is Sir Russell Coutts, the SailGP CEO. So Russell knows a thing or two about winning.
He does well, and to be fair to Russell, you know, he did actually, he's always rated this Spanish team as having that kind of potential, the youngsters on it. You know, we mentioned in there the team of the season, but Juan Cordona, you know, he's a grinder, but he's an Olympic medalist from the Tokyo Games, and, you know, we think of the grinders as maybe just a bit of a powerhouse position. Right. Of course, that's so far from true, but he really epitomises that. You know, he's a mountain of a man. Look at the size of him. Super fit, strong guy, but his racing and his strategy side of it is just so much knowledge on that boat. It's a hugely experienced team, and they've managed to put it together when it matters most.
Emily, it seemed like after day 1, present company included, they were down and out. I mean, I honestly, I looked at their scorecard from day number 1. They got a 7th, a 6th, and a 5th. And the way the French were sailing, it looked like, you know what, Spain, it's just not your year.
Maybe to you, but never doubt the underdog.
Never doubted.
Like, they have done this time and time again. People have sold them short, and they have continued to impress us. They just perform so well under pressure.
Well, yeah, and I don't mean this is, it might well sound bad, but you always need a little bit of luck. And let's be honest, the French kind of handed it to them in terms of making it through to the final. So it wasn't all in their control that they got there, but when given the opportunities, as they have done all year, they've taken them, and you can only do that by having the skills required when they're required.
Yeah, you talk about luck, being in the right place at the right time.
And you could argue there's that element of calculating the risk involved. Like, France knew they needed a safe race, and they still chose to maneuver in that position, which is awful for them, and I feel bad, but Spain was smart.
Yeah, Stevie, I still think back to the final, not taking anything away from the Spanish, but when Tom Slingsby said, we'll get him on the next beat, and they went to make that maneuver, and the board did not lock into place, I keep thinking, what would have been had they had that maneuver perfectly executed, and now the fun really begins.
I think it's what the Spanish were saying all out. You know, it would have still probably looked quite like this. They've done a great job of the rest of the race, but yeah, we'll never know, and that's the nature of sport, isn't it? That's why we love it.
Well, Emily, as you look back on season 4, what are your final thoughts? What would you take away from this season as we get ready for season 5 in just a few months' time?
It has just been the most action-packed season so far. We have had crashes and capsizes and just so many lead changes, new winners. It's so much excitement, and you know what? I think that's going to continue to build next season.
Stevie, we talk about the parity in SailGP. You know, season 1, season 2, it was the Australians, Japan got in the mix a little bit, Kiwis would come around, but now you look at the Kiwis pretty much dominated the season with 5 wins out of 13, but they're not the team standing here with the champagne bath.
No, it came down to a split-second decision at about 5 seconds from the gun, though, where Australia and New Zealand realised they were a click early. They ended up starting a few kilometres an hour slower than the Spanish team, and that was the season in that split second. And I think, you know, that's the nature of this event. It almost demonstrates to me how incredible it is that Australia managed to win it 3 years in a row, because the margins in this one-race format are so small that you're always going to come down to those micro details. But what it should do for season 5 is they should listen to what Lisa Darmanin said to Diego, who was last. So all the teams, you know, is there. You just got to embrace it. You've got to take that knowledge out of the Oracle Cloud. You've got to go away, do your homework, work hard, keep the kind of team spirit that this Spanish team seems to have, and who knows what might be possible.
What a moment for Diego Botín, Nicole van der Velden, Florian Triddle, the entire crew that put in so much work, and the entire short crew. And Emily, you know better maybe than most anyone, the team that you're seeing up there now, they did the work out of the water, but there is a host of people that do work behind the scenes that work well into the night so they can have this moment.
Exactly. The team is made up of dozens of people, including, we've got on the stage as well, Simone Salva, their coach that they brought in partway through the season as well, who was one of those critical changes just before they won their first event.
Well, it's not quite a shoey, Stevie, but I think this might be a little bit better.
Well, pretty uncomfortable shoe, I'd have said anyway.
Oh, the party continues for Spain as we take you back. Let's have a look at some day 2 highlights, kicking things off with race number 4.
Well, yeah, and it was all about the timing at the start, wasn't it? France and Spain in a bit of a private battle. It kind of looked like France had the upper hand at this stage, but then they actually got themselves too tangled up with the Spanish, and they were back in the pack. And it was Australia here really showing their speed and stretching away from the fleet. And if you got caught in the pack, you could have some mega issues, because France, they did sail through. They seemed to be reading the course perfectly, and it was this gate. It was this gate down here, gate number 4, where they made an error in their manoeuvre, and then they made a second error. The tempo went up, and then this happened. Absolute disaster for them. They crashed, they broke the horizontal section off the foil, and that was it. That was their hope of making it to the final just gone. And you can see what it means there. Thierry Douillard, French coach, and for all the French sailors on board their Manon, it's going to take some coming back from that.
8 penalty points, and they were done for the day. Then it was on to race number 5.
And it was down to the wire once again. It was interesting to see that, you know, the Kiwis really did struggle in this race, which didn't give a lot of confidence going into that grand final. Australia, confidence building, stretching away, showing just how important a good start was.
Well, the Australians had claustrophobia. They stayed away from everybody. They did not like the tight spaces. They got out there, and then New Zealand had their moment, Stevie. They filled both holes with the water.
Yeah, and they ended up, of course, getting the tech team on board. You know, how did that unsettle their routine in the pre-start? Well, we'll never know, will we? But I think the key was momentum. Australia brought it home, and going into this grand final, they had the momentum, and they got themselves in a bit of a fight, and it was Spain. They got space, they got speed, they executed accurately on the data they had, and did a brilliant job from there.
And then it came down to Spain to just not make any mistakes, and you couldn't fault their performance. They were cool, calm, and calculated in every maneuver.
This was an interesting moment as Australia had to take evasive action to avoid the bow down the water. I don't think that was a determining factor, but how tight was this down at the bottom? Look at this turn. Spain just on the money.
Yeah, I feel that possibly caught everyone out because the gate had been further down. It had been a gate. It had been 2 turning marks, not just one. So clearly that was something. But I think Stingsby was thinking very, very clearly here. Keep the pressure on. Don't do the wrong thing. Keep being accurate. Be accurate. Be accurate. But it was this next manoeuvre here. The foil didn't sit properly on the lock. I'm sure we'll find out the details of that. Was it human error? Was it a slight tech issue? We don't know. But that was the moment that sewed it up for the Spanish. And Diego did mention in his interview that the rudder broke. Interesting to hear more about that too.
But in the end, it was Spain that gets the win. Right now, let's go down on the shore and Lisa Darmanin.
Nicole, it is all happening down here. Everyone's cheering. How do you feel?
Well, I don't know what you asked because there's so much noise, but we're over the moon.
Florian, the pressure was on and you delivered. Was it fun out there or was it so stressful?
Yeah, it's been really fun days, and that final race, we approached it completely differently than what we had approached the fleet racing. And yeah, I believe we did a good job. Probably we're not the best team out there, but in SailGP you only have to win once, and that's the last one, so we managed to do that, and yeah, really happy for that.
Nicole, it must mean so much to the team. You guys have worked so hard last year, last couple of years was so hard, but you've all pulled it together today.
Yeah, it's crazy to come from last season off, finishing in last, like you said, and to turn it around, get into the grand final, and to get away with the win. If you would have asked us at the beginning of the season if that would happen, we would probably all say no. So, yeah, it's incredible what we've built. The team is amazing, and I think what we've built together is really special.
Florian, you went up against New Zealand and Australia and took the win. You didn't do it the easy way.
Yeah, we had the toughest situation, I would say, was this morning against the French. And then sort of after that pressure released, we were just able to unfold our full potential and race in that race as we know how to race the boat. So.
Well, Nicole, from what I've seen, celebrating so far, Spanish are pretty good at it. Are you guys going to celebrate into the night?
Yeah, I don't think that's going to be our problem.
Well, I'll let you both go. Thank you so much. Congratulations, Season 4 champions.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Amazing what winning can do for you. It changes everything.
Well, they're clearly good at a lot of the celebrating, but I'm not entirely sure about Florian's dancing.
Yeah, we'll see about that. Well, there's money to be handed out. Of course, we talked about the $2 million that goes the way of the Spanish, and they will pick that up. $2.53 million. Not a bad team if you're looking for a good investment. New Zealand walks away with a pretty healthy $1.4 million, and Australia just under the $1 million mark. Emirates GBR had a good year. Rockwell, Denmark picking up $500,000 in prize money. Switzerland and Germany obviously struggling, not where they wanted to be. The Americans probably would like to be much higher up on that, but we looked at Season 5 and you know there's more money probably coming this way.
Yeah, it's growing, isn't it? I mean, what an incredible season. When you think back, I can't believe how much has happened, and it's just a lot of fun.
All right, let's take a look at the calendar for Season 5 because it is a little ways away. We'll take a small break, and then in November, it's all on at the Emirates Dubai Sail Grand Prix. That's November 23rd and 24th. Emily, you look at that, some new stops out there that are going to be pivotal.
Some new venues. We've got an event almost every single month, some 2 in a month. It is going to be such an action-packed season.
Looking at Brazil in May, first time there. Obviously, Germany. And Stevie, I know you're excited about going back to Great Britain.
Yeah, it'll be superb for the home fans over here. It's brilliant, and lovely to see New Zealand and Sydney still there. Sydney Harbour for me is just, just a very special place for racing these boats. So what an amazing Canada. Can't wait for it.
Yeah, we are all looking forward to Season 5, but Season 4 certainly delivers some of the most epic moments ever seen in SailGP history. And we couldn't have done it without the hardworking crew that has traveled around the world, for the fans and for all the people that put in so much work to make it what it was. Thank you. On behalf of Stevie Morrison, Emily Nagel, Lisa Darmanin, our entire hardworking crew on site, and the crew back in Ealing and London, England, thank you so much. I'm Todd Harris. We will see you next year in November for SailGP Season 5. But for now, Spain are the champions.
Waves crash underneath, sound like thunder speaking. Flying carbon machines, driven by the world's best. Yes, powered by nature, raw passion.